Welcome to the Fancy Thinker. I'm Jared, and today it is time for some more off the cuff reviews. I have a few books here stacked up that I haven't gotten around to reviewing yet, and I figured I'd just throw these out there and do some, just some unwritten thoughts on these books as I finish them up. So, this could be chaotic, and they're putting solar panels on my house right now, so there could be some noise, so uh, be prepared if that happens. All right. Very good. So, to start off with, we have Olaf Stapledon's Starmaker. And this is Stapledon's second book in the Sci-fi Masterwork series that we did a Sci-fi Masterwork read-along on pagechewing.com. And we actually had a spoiler discussion about this book a little while ago, and so you can check that out if you have read this book. But for those of you who haven't, this non-spoiler review here, off the cuff, is this book was written in 1937, and it shows its age, but this book is chock full of sci-fi ideas. I mean, tons of them. From chapter to chapter, you see the beginnings of science fiction reading that that we have seen for the next 80 years that come out of this book. All the way up to sentient spiders. That our friend Mr. Tchaikovsky just did in Children of Time. But um, yeah, it's all there, and it's amazing to see what he put into it. Now, this isn't a typical novel that we're used to, where you have this this real plot we're following, or characters that you care about at all. They're not in here. It's laid down more like a history book of sorts, and it um, it just presents these ideas one after another, and it's about this one character who has um, these telepathic powers to explore the universe, and he's looking for the Star Maker, which is kind of a stand-in for a god, looking for God basically, but he's looking for the Star Maker, and the ideas he presents about what the Star Maker is really unique and interesting compared to what most people would think of as God or star, the maker of stars, and so there's a lot going on in this book, and it's strange because it wasn't like the most pleasurable thing to read in the world, but it was still so fascinating with all the stuff he came up with, and I found it a bit more easy to follow than his first book, Last of the First Men, I think, and he does continue on in the same vein as that book, but it's a bit more coherent. It's a bit more cohesive in here, and it's also very palatable. He wrote this on the verge of World War II, and you can see some of his anti-war stances in here, and his anti-Nazism stances are very prominent in here, and so that kind of gears you to be friendly towards the book in that manner, and it also it just it like I said, it shows the date of the book. It shows how dated the book is in a lot of ways as well. But all told, it's a very interesting exploration. It's short. It's only 200 pages, um, but it's kind of dense too, because he does write it like a history book. So, be prepared for that. But all told, I think it's something that everybody should check out at one time. You may not like it. A lot of people don't, but I think it's an important piece of science fiction history that everybody should really check out at least. And I liked it. I thought it was pretty cool. Just the ideas themselves were just out there, really cool. So next up, I have Truth of Crowns by Carl Albert, and this is a fantasy, an epic fantasy. that takes place on a secondary world where we have lots of these kingdoms and politics and alliances, and we have this like we have magic, but it's kind of like a forbidden thing, and if but it still weeds its way into society and stuff. And I really like the world that Albert has created. I like the different factions and political plays from the different families that are in charge of these kingdoms, and I really enjoyed some of the mythology put in there, some of the history of these various factions and kingdoms, and the history of how magic is interwoven into the story. I thought Albert did a really great job of laying that all out. And this is a first novel, and it was in a proposed or planned trilogy. And so the there is a lot of setup in here. There's a lot of um, you know exposition through the characters. It wasn't just it wasn't like a history book just telling you what happened. It was actually there was some engaging characters in here, and you learned a lot through them about the history of this world. And I thought that was very well done on Albert's part. And I also really, like I said, I really enjoyed some of the characters. I liked there's a coming of age story in here, so if you like that trope, you're gonna really enjoy the way it was done here, I think. And the and it's kind of a chosen one trope. Yeah, it could fit that, I suppose. But it's a little more subtle than that. It's a bit deeper than that, and I think there's some surprises in here towards the end that really turned things around, and I think made reading the beginning setup slower sections really worth it once you got to the end. Um, just as a disclaimer, I know Carl Albert. I'm friends with him. We speak on page chewing all the time on various different projects. So, but I did buy this book long before I knew uh, Albert, and so I did buy it on the merit of what other people were saying about it, and I think it's a pretty good start for a first time for a debut novel, and I think that um, Kyle Albert's skill can only go up from here. Um, there was a couple of times during the book where I felt a little pulled out of the story, but these were few and far between, and the flaws aren't as readily apparent as some other debut novels. And so I think he's got something really, really special that could be brewing here. It definitely for fans of more modern fantasy, like your Song of Ice and Fire type of stuff, and so and I think it fits that mold very well. And so if you're up for that kind of a story, I think you should check this book out. It was pretty cool, and I had a really good time reading it. So, Truth to Crowns by Kyle Albert. All right, and then for my third pick today, third review, we have something familiar but also new. uh, that is A Wizard of Earthsea, a graphic novel adapted and illustrated by Fred Fordham. And I was I was like, okay, I'll read A Wizard of Earthsea again. It's not my favorite Earthsea entry. I really like Tombs of Tuin, the second book, and I think that's the best one. But this adaptation is absolutely gorgeous. The colors, it's like this watercolor artwork that really sets the mood and tone of the story in a new way that really grabbed me. I mean, these are just some beautiful illustrations here, and it really brought the setting alive for me, and I really liked how he did it, and just even the character work, and that is just some gorgeous artwork, and he did so much with just artwork without using words. He explained so much with artwork, and I can't get over how gorgeous this book came out. And he really captured, I think, what Le Guin was trying to to say, and she um, I think she would have approved of this book. I know the Le Guin estate approved of it, but look at that dragon. I mean, that is just some beautiful stuff in Jed, and that's just really gorgeous. And I just love how this guy pulled all this stuff off, and it brought me a new perspective on the story. It made it more somber. It made it more moody, and there was a underlying darkness, I think, that was given to the story with this artwork that may or may not be apparent when you just read the prose. And the prose is beautiful. He uses some of the prose, of course, from the book in this adaptation, and and that's always beautiful. But the really the star of this particular adaptation is the artwork, and it just brought a huge new level of appreciation for a Wizard of Earthsea that I didn't have before, and I'm very, very glad I discovered this. This is from Clarion Books, so if you get a chance, check out Fred Fordham's adaptation of A Wizard of Earthsea. All right, I hope the noise that's going on around me didn't come through too much. If it did, I apologize, but I will not apologize for liking some of these books. All right, and with all that said, as always, be good to each other, like and subscribe, all the stuff. And thank you.